Mr. Erling Strand is with us from Norway today. He was born in 1955, lives in Norway. He's been married since 1979. He has two children and four grandchildren. He's a retired assistant professor in computer sciences. He's one of the five founders of the Project Hessdalen, which was started in 1983 with the purpose of investigating all sightings of UFOs in the small Hessdalen Valley in Norway. He was responsible for the science part in the field works of 84 and 85. He's the author of the final technical report from the fieldwork in 1984. And he has set up and ran the automatic station, or the Blue Box, in Hessdalen since the start in 1998. He's directed 35 bachelor student groups in the development of the Blue Box Research Station between 1994 and 2019. From 2023, the task of developing and running the Blue Box is at Magnus Holm. Erling Strand has been one of the leaders in running science campuses for young children or young students in Hessdalen every year from the start in 2002 until 2019. He has been Project Hessdalen's manager until Fred Paulison got the position early 2023. He is now chairman of the board of the nonprofit organization of Project Hessdalen. Erling, thank you very much for being here today. We very much appreciate it. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. Then I start with sharing my screen. My name is Erling Strand, and you gave a good introduction of me. And here are some web pages I have. My history, the reason why I started to work with UFO was because when I was a student in Trondheim in 1978, I was walking home in the daytime, and suddenly, similar as this shape object flew above my head. And that's made me very curious and very suspicious. What could that be? And that the happening which made me start the whole thing. Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you about the Hessdalen Valley. And first of all, where is it? Well, it's in Norway, in the middle part of Norway, and it's located about 120 kilometers south of Trondheim city. And the size of the valley is quite small. It's about 10 miles long, and not more than 100 inhabitants is living there now. You have some mountains in the west. Mount Finnsøhøgda is the most famous one because towards that one, several of the sightings has been done. On the other side of the valley, you have Mount Rognefjell and Mount Stordalshøgda and Lake Øyungen and Lake Hersjøen, and you have also some other mountains. Small valley, only 100 inhabitants, but there is something strange going on. If you are standing on the Mount Rognefjell on the eastern part of the valley, looking toward Mount Finnsøhøgda, you get this view. And it was in 1981, it started with the inhabitants seeing a straight big light down on the hillside or mountainside of Mount Finnsøhøgda. And they saw it several days, in fact, and one day they saw it was moving out of this mountainside and following the valley towards north to the right. If you look at the other direction, if you're standing on Mount Finnsøhøgda and you're looking towards east, you got Mount Stordalshøgda, and the view is like the picture you see to the left, down to the left. On several of the old pictures of the phenomena has been taken from this location. This has been a famous place for viewing the phenomena due to the great view, and you can have a view over the whole, much part of the valley. So on some of the pictures, you can recognize the mountains you see down here. Well, the phenomenon well, it started in November, or let me say December 1981, and all the way up to the autumn of 1984, a long period of time, there was a huge amount of observation in that valley. At the most, there was 20 observation a week. Most of the reports on that time described a light. About 85% talked about the light. After 1985, the observation activity has lowered, gone down to approximately 20 observations a year. But of course, this number is very unsure, of course. So that's what we have got information of. And there's probably several people who don't say anything. So, well, but in the order of 20 observations, we can say. The Hessdalen phenomena, we call it the Hessdalen phenomena instead of UFO. Most of the observation could be put in one of these three categories. Strong white or blue flashes, lasting from a fraction of a second up to a couple of seconds. Yellow or yellow-white ball of light. These can have different shapes. They can stand still for minutes, even hours, and they can move slowly or fast. Can be several meters in diameter. The ground below it has been illuminated, and also sometimes it's been seen with another light with another color, seems to be attached to the main light, but mostly the color is only yellow, but the shapes are very different. The third category is where you have several lights together. And it looks like these lights are connected to an object. When these lights move, they move all together as it is onto something. And also when this has been seen, when it's not completely dark outside, people explain it's connected to what they call a black object. And of course, objects have also been seen in the daytime. Well, we can start with object type sightings. It's not that many of those, but there are some. It can start with a famous story. It happened in 1980. A hunter, he was hunting for birds up in the mountain in Hessdalen, and he says it was sunshine, great weather, and he said that he suddenly got a strange feeling. It was like the air was removed around him. He felt something from behind, and suddenly he saw three sharp shadows coming from behind, moving slowly forwards. Ulm moved around and saw three disc-shaped objects very near, and he said they were approximately 4 meters in diameter. Suddenly, all three turned over to the side with the bottom in front and moved away with a very high speed. I could say that this happening shocked Poland very much, and he decided he would never ever go on hunting anymore, so he sold his rifle. Well, here's a drawing made of the description Holm said. And the description of the bottom was like on the edge of this disc-shaped object, there was some round thing which made some sound. Another daylight object was this reconstruction. The lady called it the bread, as a brown bread, with light in front. And the picture from the background, you see the trees in the backgrounds. This picture is exactly where she said it was. And she was waiting for her husband sitting and saw this moving not far from her. You can see the trees in the behind, maybe 100 meters or something. Uh, and it moved without any sound at all, completely soundless. And it moved towards right, which is towards north, and just disappeared in the valley. Here's also reconstructions or descriptions of what people have seen in the daytime. This is called a Zeppeliner type object. This is also another description made by the observers. And this is also a famous story because the lady who was driving this car up towards Hessdalen, uh, she noticed that there was a bright light on all sides of the car, to the left, to the right, in the back, and in the front. She wondered what that could be, and when she had driven some 100 meters more and come up to the top of the Hessdalen Valley, starting to drive towards into the Hessdalen Valley, this hat-shaped object was moving away from her into the valley. So then she saw the shape of it, and then she saw it was this object who had sent the light down to the ground, because it also happened when it disappeared. This was seen also, this is also a reconstruction, a barrier of light. Daytime, the sun was up, the sun is up to the left, and the observer noticed that the brightest part of this barrier of light was on the opposite side from the sun. You should expect that the brightest side will be where the sun is shining, but actually it was on the opposite side. This is a drawing made of one observer uh, who described an object in the middle of the night. She saw it very clear, was close to landing. It was moving, and on the a little bit to the left, it turned like the bottom more towards her, and then it disappeared to the left, and she saw only this yellow V-shaped part of it. This is also a drawing made by the observer. He was sitting on top of Mount Finnsahögda. He had been climbing up, sitting, resting because of the climbing. And then it was sunshine, it was nice weather. And he said that out from nowhere in the sky, like a portal in the sky, he started to see the left part of this object type. So only the front of it, then suddenly more and more of it become visible until the whole object become visible. And he explained it as an object type with some glowing yellowish light around it. This description has also been seen other times by other witnesses. He described it as a weak flickering light walk along the side of the object. there was a strange surface with light which behaved as smoke. It started to move again and disappeared. And while he was sitting there, and this object came and became visible for him, he felt there was some communication with it. He got the impression that someone was talking to him inside his head mentally with a strong communication. So he noticed it. Well, other daylight sightings, this is a picture. Uh, Several people go up to Hessdalen to take picture of the beautiful nature. And when they look at the pictures afterwards, on some of the pictures, it happened to see something else than only the nature. This is one of them. This is another picture. It looks like a discrete object for me. And this is also a picture. It looks like a cube. The sun was up. The sun is from the right side. Well, the picture is taking direction east, so south is to the right, and the sun was in the south, so the sun was on the right side. If you enlarge the cube-shaped object, you see a dark part of it, and that dark part is actually towards the sun. And you should expect that the sun would illuminate it, so that would have been the brightest one. But it doesn't seem to be like that. And also, but of course, it could be also that what we interpret as an cube is maybe some other type of cube. This is also another object type, different to say if an object or if it's a light, but it was taken in the daytime. The sun is up, you see the nature, and on one of the pictures the photographer took, he got this thing. And also here, the sun is to the right, coming from the right. And it seems, if you enlarge the phenomena, it seems that it's a little bit more dark on the direction towards the sun. You have the other type with several lights together. Here's a drawing made of one observer who saw this with 3 lights, and it wasn't completely dark when he saw it. So he made that drawing you see in the middle part to the right. He said it was 2 yellow or white light, gul, hvit lys, that's Norwegian, and it's yellow or white light. And to the right, you see a red light in front. And he has also made a description of where he was standing and the distance of it. And the phenomena went first behind this Finnsøhøgda mountain. And after a short period of time, it came out on the right part of Finnsøhøgda to the north and moved in front of Finnsøhøgda. So he saw it in front of Finnsøhøgda. And then it disappeared again in the same way as this had come. So it disappeared behind Finnsøhøgda. He made to take one picture of it. This is the picture, the red light in front and 2 yellow or white light in the back. This 2 pictures is from the automatic blue box station. We have a system which take pictures and analyze in the computer. And whenever there is a picture or light coming in, which hasn't have been there before, it reacts and share and start a video sequence. The first picture to the left, you see the yellow light up in the sky. And you will soon see also the video recordings of it. And after video recording stops, it goes into alarm system again and start to take a new alarm picture, which is the picture to the right. And you see the phenomena is more to the north. Let me see if I can start this video. I hope you see it. Soon you see a small light just beneath it going up to it. There. Yeah. It's hard to see. It's just beneath it. I can take it one more so you can see on 38, a small light just beneath it go up in the main light, which is going over the sky. There. Yeah. Yes, with light coming out or going in to the phenomena, we have several descriptions of that and also other videos too. This is some pictures from a video made by Dr. Massimo Teodorani in Hessdalen. And if you see, there's some part of the light which there is something seems to come out of it. And this coming out to the right part of it becomes more and more clear, coming more and more, and to the end it leaves the main light. And this has also been described, similar, not exactly, where several lights are connected to the main light. On one occasion, a person with binocular looked at the big light he was standing in the mountainside, and he explained that he saw several smaller lights inside the big light moving around inside it. Now, some of the yellow balls of light, which was quite common. This is a drawing on the map. On the cross is, or the star is where the phenomena was. It was seen from two different directions, so it could be easily point out where it was standing. This is a picture of it. This was also my first observation in Hessdalen. That was in September 1982. It started about 7:30 or a little bit, some minutes before that, and it lasted about 2 hours. It was standing mostly still, moving sometimes, not fast, moving slowly, stopping again, moving again, and continued like this for 2 hours. Sometimes a spotlight was turned on illuminating the ground, and also sometimes also up in the air. The observer who took this picture and also several other pictures of this phenomena, he was a little bit afraid on one time because sometimes this movement of the light came towards him. And you can imagine this big light coming towards you where you are standing out in the darkness, and it turned on a spotlight on the ground. And he was thinking, what will happen when the spotlight hit me? Well, luckily, it didn't happen. It didn't went all the way up to where he was standing. The photographer, he said, when I took the picture, the camera was on tripod, of course, with a long exposure, normally 30 seconds. And he said that during the exposure time, it disappeared, he said. but it disappeared so fast, so we didn't see it with our eyes. But he got it onto the film, and in the beginning you see where it was standing to the right part, and you see some yellow lights where it is moving first to the left and then straight down to a sharp angle and up again and disappear to the left. And this happens so fast that if you think of an object in a type of mass, it's nearly impossible to make such a sharp angle with such a high speed. That's nearly impossible. This is also another observation, drawing of phenomena. On the drawing to the left, you see the phenomena on top of Mount Finnsøhøgda, and it indicated where this was moving first towards him and then moving to the left, following the valley down to the left. He made also a map from above where he said written Finnsøhøgda, and where he was standing, observation point, and this phenomena moved first towards him, then turned to the right though, and disappeared just before it went out of sight. He managed to take 2 pictures. Here's the first one. It was foggy. It was clouds onto the mountain, so you shouldn't expect that any light will show up then. But this was the first picture. It moved in the direction of the arrow. He managed to take another picture, and just before it disappeared behind that hill. If it had been a clear weather, it would have been possible to see a mountain in behind that hill too. So it can show up in all weather conditions. Well, here are some of the flashes, short flashes, normally a fraction of a second up to a couple of seconds, very often blue, sometimes white. And here's a picture showing the blue flashes on to the right where the arrow is pointing. The other colors in the pictures is pictures from ordinary lights from houses and so on. And we have a grating in front of the camera, so we can analyze what kind of colors it is in the lights. So on the picture, you see some from blue to red and so on from the main light. But the interesting thing is the right picture to the right, where the arrow, and it's a blue light which has moved, and it seems to have some kind of oscillation, or if it's moving up and down or in a circular way, it's impossible to say. But you see on the picture there's some kind of oscillation. And in the middle of the blue light, or a little bit to the right, you see it as it has hit something, so the oscillation change. It's much like a similar light we took back in 1984 with the oscillating light. I saw this light myself, and this oscillation become bigger and bigger until it suddenly light went out. These are also a series of pictures of flashes, and this was taken during what we call science camp. I will tell you about that. All these pictures was taken the same night, the same evening, and I say that these flashes, when you start to see the flashes, normally they continue with flashes. So I say start to take pictures though, even if you don't see anything, because it will be too late to take your picture after you see something because it disappeared after maximum 2 seconds. So these pictures has been taken, a series of pictures, and um, uh, about 15 of the pictures we took that night show these flashes. Here's another one also below the horizon. Here's above the horizon. 30-second exposure time on all these. There's also below the horizon. This picture is from the automatic station. It seems that the two helical lights coming up or going down to the ground. It has happened very fast, and you see we don't know if it has gone up from the ground or going down. That's impossible to say. We have only the pictures. Well, this happened a lot of stories in the early 80s, and no one did do anything. And then some friend of us, we went together and discussed someone must do something. Why doesn't that university do something? Why doesn't that research facility do something? Well, so we said, well, why don't we do something? So we decided, well, maybe we should start and do something. So we decided to start what we called Project Hessdalen. That was done in a meeting we had in June 3rd, 1983. And the main goals was to get scientific data of the phenomena, get the UFO phenomena accepted, prove that it is there. And we was a leader team of 5 people. We had 2 field works, one in 1984, from January 21st to February 1926. In the winter time, though, cold, very cold. And in 1985, from January 14th to January 28th with instruments, and continued to February 10th without any instruments. The reason why we decided to have one period without any instruments was that we had some power problems in the first fieldwork, 1984. The power went off. Very often when the phenomena was passing by. So we wanted to find out if it has anything to do with the reason that we did do some measurements. So we wanted to do that scientifically to find out. So in 1985, we decided to have one period with instrument and one without to see if the intensity observation was different. But sadly, it was only one good observation in 1985. Well, that happened when we hadn't the instruments running, though, but only one. That's too few to prove there is a connection. Well, there's fieldwork. We had more than 40 persons participated. And here's some pictures of the station we had in the wintertime, 1984 and 1985. And we had also visit from Jordan Heineck. He came all the way from the States in our second fieldwork in 1985. You see also the tents in the background where some of us was sleeping. Very rough environment. Here's the instruments we used in both fieldworks. Camera with grating, infrared viewer, spectrum analyzer to see if there was some electromagnetic radiation, seismograph to measure any movement in the Earth crust, a magnetograph to see if there's something to do with the magnetic field, and radar, if there was, we could follow it on radar or distance and speed and so on, and Geiger counter. Well, we have the full report you can find on this website. And if you summarize some of it, on the radar, recordings were made even when nothing was seen by the observers. Also, we did observe something with the light, so we could see it too. But also when we didn't see anything. So it was something there which was detected by the radar. We could follow it on the radar screen, but we couldn't see it with our eyes. The highest speed we measured with radar was 30,000 kilometers an hour, about 18,600 miles per hour. That's fast. Spectrum analyzer, sometimes there were electromagnetic noise in the broad frequency band. Magnetograph, some observations were made during large magnetical activity. Large magnetical activity is normal when you have Northern Lights and something like that. Then the magnetical activity in the atmosphere is very active. You talk about magnetical storms. And also, there is also something called magnetical pulsation, where it seems that the Earth's magnetic field is oscillating with a frequency of 2 Hertz. It seems that there is some connection both with magnetical storms and magnetical pulsations. Laser, well, we did a test with a laser, and then what happened? A double flashing when the laser beam was directed to a flashing light. The reason why we used the laser to point to the phenomena was that some observer had said that when they had put a strong light towards the phenomena, it disappeared, they say. Well, instead of using a big, strong spotlight, we used a laser instead, red laser, not a strong one, only 1 milliwatt. And we pointed it to a flashing light. And when we did, it became a double flashing light. Yes, I will tell you more about the laser test we did, what happened. But this is a summary. The laser test, I said, which I will tell you a little bit more. And during the period of field work, we got 53 visual observations during the field work, which is the Hessdalen phenomena. We got more than 180 reports of strange light, but we have studied these reports very precisely and found that we could explain or could be a natural explanation on most of them, but there was 53 which was so strange that we couldn't find any natural explanation. The last thing on the fieldwork, a rocking motion was sometimes felt. If you can imagine you are in a boat out in the ocean with a waving, windy, both the waving back and forth. But this feeling was happening when you were standing still on the mountain, out from watching the phenomena. Suddenly this feeling came, and that there was something disturbing your inner ear, which made you have that feeling. Can be infrasound, or could also be very strong, low frequency electromagnetic radiation. But at that time, we had none of such instruments present, so we cannot say what it was. Well, first of all, this laser, back to the laser test. This test was done Sunday, 12th of February. A flashing light doubled the flashing frequency when a red laser beam was directed to it, and the flashing frequency went back to normal when the laser beam was removed. We did that test totally 9 times, and in 8 of these 9 times, this double frequency happened. 1 week later, a red light was seen moving on the ground close to the feet of the observers. It was as if the laser had been pointing towards the ground close to the feet of the observers. And it lasted for only very few seconds before it disappeared. It seems to be the same type of light. When I took the laser up and showed it for the witness who saw this, and I was pointing the laser down to the ground in the snow. Well, you can imagine when it's snow, white snow, it's very strong light seen from the red laser on the snow. And the witness said, well, it was exactly like that, but it was just a little bit weaker in intensity. Yeah, it was similar as the light from the laser. I could mention also, mention power failure. We had power failure both on batteries and on uh, power to the station. The batteries was normally used in the cameras, and we put in new batteries when we took the cameras out in the field, so it was top shaped in power. And during a very short period of time, the battery went off. It was as if there was no battery present. Later, we didn't throw away the batteries. We measured it was low though, but after a period of time when we had taken it away from the field work, we measured the battery power again, and then it was normal. It was back to the voltage as it was when it was new. So it was as if someone has taken the power from the cameras while we were out in the field. Well, Project Hessdalen, this was, we had two part one was two fieldworks. Part two, we started in 1993 when I had a presentation up in Hessdalen because the people up there wanted to know what had happened since we had the fieldworks back in 84 and 85, and they hadn't heard anything and was curious, of course, has there been any progress of the data? And of course it had. I had been to several conferences, scientific conferences, presented the data, and raised interest among scientists all over the world. And during my presentation up in the Hessdalen local community house, when I've been finished telling about the growing interest from the scientists, one came up to me and said, well, it still continues, he said. And I was very surprised because I hadn't heard anything about, and that had been going on for several years since I heard anything. And he said, well, we don't tell it anymore because we were so ridiculed in the first year, and we don't want to be ridiculed again. So they didn't tell anything. But when I heard that, well, maybe we should start Project Hessdalen again. And we did that in 1993, or I did that. And that part two led to 2021. At that time, I was working at Hessdalen University College, and I used my student in the project. And there was also a companion, me and another one who was working at the university college who started this project. And from 2013, there was another one coming into it. What we did, a summary, well, we had a scientific workshop in Hessdalen. That was the first thing we planned during part two. And from 94 to 2019, we have had 34 bachelor projects of students who have worked on building an automatic station, which we call the Blue Box. And that was set in operation in 1998. And since between 2001 to 2004, we have had EMBLA fieldworks. That's a cooperation with Italian scientists. And from 2002 to 2019, we have had science camp for young students. And 2010, two new automatic field station was set up together with scientists from France. And in 2016, there was one course at our university college, which we called Fieldworks, where the students who choose that course, the task was to run a science camp for young students. Well, back to what we did the first time. We organized the first workshop. We called the Atmospheric Light Phenomenon in Hessdalen. That was in March 1994. We got 27 scientists from 8 different nations participated. And among them, one Professor Boris Smirnov, he said that the phenomenon contains some qualitative elements which at the present time has no analog in science. Thus, the solution of this problem must lead to new concepts in science. Well, he is a professor in physics and even been nominated to Nobel Prize, only nominated though. So that's a strong statement. We had also one statement from David Freiberger from Stanford University. He said that the Hessdalen Project has established beyond doubt that the Hessdalen Lights are real physical phenomena. These phenomena lies outside of already known physics. That's also a strong statement. What happened? Good thing that the press changed after this workshop. They were no more smiling when reporting about observation in Hessdalen. Before that, whenever some in the news or in the newspaper or in the television news, when they talked about observation from Hessdalen, the reporter was always smiling. And in the written material, you can see some text between the lines where they're making fun of the people. That was also one of the reasons why the inhabitants didn't want to tell about it anymore. But when the press discovered that real scientists, such from 8 different countries, came to Hessdalen and come with such a statement, they understood that this is really something. We cannot ridicule those who do this anymore. So this was a big step, I think. We start setting up the Blue Box automatic station I got a bachelor project who was starting with that in 1994 and worked in 94, 95, 96, 97, and 1998. It was good enough to be set up in operation. And this blue box is still active up there. Interesting pictures. Well, we got several interesting recordings of the camera looking out on the valley. Computer analyze the pictures, take the picture, save the picture, and also video recordings. The change in numbers here is mainly due to the system hasn't been up running all the time. And also the high number, it's only what I call interesting pictures. You can, most of these pictures, you cannot be sure that it is the Hessdalen phenomena, but it seems to be interesting. So this number isn't the number of the Hessdalen phenomena. I'm sure that these interesting pictures, several of those can be explained too. But anyway, I think it's many interesting pictures. Since 1998 to 2022, the number of reports from people who see something has been 166. And all these reports, some with pictures and also some with videos, can be found on the website you see here. Yeah, I say also science camp is not observation done during science camp are not included in these reports. So if you want to see what people are describing when they have observation, you can go to the oldhessdalen.org website and go to observations and read about their stories. Talked about EMBLA was a cooperation between the Project Hessdalen and the Institute for Radio Astronomy in Italy. We had a mission both in 2000, 2001, 2, and 4. And we had some Italian scientists coming from Italy with their equipment and staying out in the field for some days. And they do some measurement. And the reports can be found on the Hessdalen website. I mentioned Science Camp. It started in 2002. Well, in the starting of the Science Camp, in the late 1990s and the early 2000s, there was a big problem in Norway. There was too few young students were interested in mathematics and physics. So that could lead to that there was too few people to keep the technical society running. So this was a big concern in Norway that we wouldn't develop or teach young students to become a technical person who could be sure that the technical society will be running. So what should be done to get the young students interested in mathematics and physics? Well, we can use a mystery to show that science is exciting. Take the young students out in the field to investigate the mysteries Hessdalen phenomena. And we did, and we got funding because we presented this as one possible solution to them, to that there was too few young students present. So we got funding for doing this. And we did, started in 2002, where we had the young students out with camera, staying in tents with the instruments and so on. So the young students and the teachers are doing research during 1 week in Hessdalen. They have instruments and cameras, and they stay in tents during the night in September. It's cold in September in Hessdalen. The phenomena can show up anytime. It's exciting, and the students love it. And they learn science and experience the unknown. We, of course, in the beginning, before they go out in the field with the instruments, we teach them the instruments at the university college and at their school, so they are prepared, and they was very keen to do this, and they was taking the knowledge we gave them, teaching the instruments. They sucked the knowledge to them. And this is a different type. We say that the students, are now going to do the experience out in the field, the science out in the field, and maybe you will write the teaching book for new topics later. That was a complete new setting for young students, that they are going to write a new science. Well, we put it like this, and that made them very keen on doing this. Yeah, we have a website where they send reports and so on. Well, the first science camp was run in September 2002. More than 1,000 students have participated during the years. Their attitude to such phenomena is or change to the positive. When you see something yourself, it do something with you. And many of these students have seen it. And during each science camp, there have been observation, and it's very exciting. The phenomena become more accepted as a real phenomenon. So more students out, more students see it, the more, when they're grown up, more people accept it as a real phenomenon. The different kind of instruments, they head out in the stations, out in the mountains, in tents, video camera, still camera with grating in front, so you can get the optical spectrum. VLF receiver, a Geiger counter, weather station, and image intensifier. This is, we used also our students. The students in the yellow shirts are our students from the college. They helped us because we had the young students, 15 years old only. They need to have not only the teachers or us, but the students from our college also helped and guided them, stay together with them on the test. There's a map showing where we had the different station out in the field. Up to the right, you see Base Camp Rogne, and more to the left, Base Camp Finse, and Base Camp Skarvan, and Base Camp Øyungen. And here's a picture, so you get the feeling of how such a base camp look like up in the mountain. They stay in tents, normally 2 tents, one for the instruments and one for sleeping. And they have a lot of cameras outside, so they do some measurement. This was Base Camp Rogne. This is Base Camp Skarvan. This is Base Camp Finse. And this is Base Camp Øyungen, Øyungen. Well, during science camp, we have got some interesting results. This is a picture of the Hessdalen phenomena, taken with grating in front. You see also in the picture, you see a car was driving, and you see the colors above this yellow light where the car was driving. Above it, you see the optical spectrum from a car light. And you can see the optical spectrum from the church and so on, and also optical spectrum from some of the houses. And you see some it's not regular, the colors. So when you study this more precisely, it's possible to find out what kind of elements which made this light. But what is interesting is that the phenomena showed up where they are marked with a star. And we took out and analyzed the pictures, the optical spectrum, and we put it into a computer, which said that which kind of elements it could find in the optical spectrum. Of course, nitrogen, oxygen, of course. But what's strange was scandium. So it found something scandium in. It's an unusual element, which is in Scandinavia, though, and also some iron. So there was some strange, one strange element. Yeah, this is the direction from the observation point to the site. This is another observation done during science camp. This is a picture of the aurora taken the same night at 9:10 p.m., where they had a great observation. The reason why I show that is that when you have an aurora, it tells that the optical or the magnetic activity in the atmosphere is great. So during this night, when we had the observation, there was magnetic storms. We had the setup with a camera connected to a computer. It was taking picture automatically, one each minute, with 30-second exposure time. It was running all by themselves. It was programmed to take a picture every minute. Now, this is one picture. It was has been taken. You see the light from the houses in the valley to the left. But the white dot in the middle here is a reference light we have put up. You see the spectrum, optical spectrum up here and down here. The idea was that if we could get the picture of the phenomena, where we also on the same picture had this reference light, it would be great. That evening, we started to see flashes, strong flashes, at 9:20. And 5 minutes afterwards, a new strong flash. Another place in the valley. It happened different places in the Hessdalen Valley. And these flashes continued, but the duration between each flash was first 5 minutes and then a little bit shorter time, until it ended with an outbreak of light. I will show you this very much. Well, this is the reference light. When this outbreak, there came two outbreaks of this light, of this flashing light. This picture shows the first one But during the exposure time, this happened outside of the direction of the camera system. So they decided to move the direction of the camera so it hit the outbreak. And it did, of course. But this is during the exposure time, it um, was moved. So all the movement of this light in up there is due to the moving of the camera, changing of the camera, all the different kind. But the second flash outbreak was this one, where you see this is a 30-second exposure time. You get the optical spectrum below of the light. You see it's similar as a continuous optical spectrum. And this was also, this is the base camp Finso, but they couldn't see it because it was behind Finso Högda. And you can hear the screaming of the students.
Jeg filmer håret til. Håret her. Og dame. Fy faen, det bare brent opp. Jeg zoomet, eller det bare splittet.
Did you hear something?
We could hear something, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this very exciting, of course. Out after this second outbreak, it ended. No more flashing. So nothing anymore. So these big flashes lasted about 40 minutes, and it ended with these outbreaks. But we had a radar also in operation, directional radar, which point in only one direction. And you see the black thing here where the direction of the radar, and the observation was the light phenomena was over a mountain here. You see it was observed from Rogne, the red arrow, and also from Øyongen, the red arrow. So in that direction. What the radar saw, it started to see something already nearly 1 hour before this first start. You see the radar picture up to in the middle or to the right of the two pictures is say 2036 at 8:36. So the first flash was in 9:20. But the radar saw it before. It started to see it before, close an hour before. And after the end of the last outbreak, this is 2022 that 10:20, the radar screen at the left. So it still sees something. So the radar continues for, well, nearly 1 hour after the last outbreak before it stopped recording. So it seems that the radar saw it first, and then we could see it also on radar and observation as well. And then the observations stopped, but the radar continues to see something. And then at the end, the radar stopped as well. The optical spectrum, what kind of elements could be in it? Well, the upper part is the Hessdalen phenomena, with the picture which I showed you, and the analyzing of the colors. You see, and the blue is to the left, and the main part is the yellow part. We use the star Vega to calibrate it, and we have this picture show how we calibrate it. We have what we measured by our equipment, Vega, and what we measured with the phenomena. And also what we know when Vega is calibrated is green one. And then we can use a calculator to take the curve we had recorded and adjust it to it so it become calibrated. And it seems to be a lot of ultraviolet light in the phenomena. So if you have ever chance to bring some ultraviolet camera equipment with you, you should. Base Caravan, we haven't put up what we call a white station now. We have 2 stations, black, the brown, and the blue station, which we put up in 1998, and this white station, which we put up in 2018. We had also 2 smaller stations, not so big, which we put up in 2010. This is the inside of the base camp Skarvan, where we have a lot more computers in operation during science camp. Now I'm moving out of Hessdalen, another interesting happening. That was not in Hessdalen, but it was a similar light as in Hessdalen. It was seen, if you look at the picture up the upper right, you see a cottage there, and the light was coming just above the cottage in the valley there, and moved to the left in front of the mountain here on the other side of the lake. If you look on the bottom picture, you see they make some black cross on the picture, where the witness who was sitting in the cottage, the bottom picture is taken from the cottage. You can see how the view was, and the black crosses is where the light was moving. It was moving in front to the left, though, in front of this hill, and it stopped and moved down to it was snow when this happened, and the the witness said, when the light, which was strong in the beginning, moved slowly in that direction, stopped and went down to the ground. When it hit the ground, the snow, it nearly stopped illuminating. It would become very weak. It's hard to see it at all, but it was possible to see, but very, very weak. Then after some few seconds, it started slowly moving up again, up from the ground, and become stronger, and moved back in the same direction where it had been coming. And while it was moving slowly, it becomes stronger and stronger. And before it disappeared, it was as strong as it had been from the beginning. The upper picture is the map where it was happening in the southwest part of Norway. We made some tracks in the snow, about 60 centimeter wide, spiral formed, and about 2.5 meters between each of them. Managed to take some snow samples and measure the bacteria, and it seems that the bacteria in the track itself had been killed. but the amount of bacteria in between the tracks is normal, and also as there was in the reference sample 50 meters away from the track. But in the track, the bacteria had been killed. Those few who can be seen as dot there in the round circle is another type of bacteria which is much harder to kill. So the ordinary bacteria in the snow had been killed, but only this hard stuff, hard bacteria, hard to kill, survived. Another happening in Australia was outback Australia, where in the Kimberleys, it was reported also similar activity in that area as in Hessdalen. I was there in 1995 and went up to a hillside, and I thought I saw some flashes. They last so short time, so you're never sure if they are there or not. But I knew that when flashes start to show up, then normally is that it continues. So I took the pictures, and the picture you see here, 30-second exposure time, and it seems to be the same type of light, blue or white light though. We had a magnetometer. This is a magnetometer connected to a writer. There are 3-axis magnetometer. Only 2 of them are recorded here. One is the red and one is the green. And the black arrows is the time when we saw the phenomena. So we totally that night we saw 4 phenomena, 4 times. What exciting is the magnetic activity. Some kind of pulsation started just after our first observation, the black arrow to the left. And after we had our second observation, the second arrow, black arrow, the green become bigger. And then after the third, it become even bigger and very big. In the middle here, I increased the speed of the writer to see if I could read the frequency, and it was 2 hertz. It's the same frequency as the PC1 pulsation type from the Earth. So, but the unusual here, it continued for a very long period of time. So this was very interesting. Well, cooperation. We have had cooperation with scientists from many places. Norway as well. Norwegian Defense Research Establishment was the first one we contacted. And we had also contact with the Norwegian Air Force and also people from university in Oslo and people from university in Bergen, all in Norway. But in the foreign scientists, we have from Italy, though, Institute for Radio Astronomy, who has been active for several years. In Germany, we have a cooperation with the university in Würzburg. And in France, we have GEPAN, CNES, which is famous for recording observation of strange phenomena in France. We have also had some cooperation with CEA in France, which look at new energy sources, atomic energy and alternative energy sources. We have also had cooperation with CNRS, with Central National Research Scientific, and also from Greek, Aristotle University of Thessaloniki. That's the main foreign scientists who have been in Hessdalen and done research. We have had, of course, visit from many others as well, but these are people who have done work up there, measurement. The Institute for Radioastronomy in Italy, it was Stelio Montepignoli, who was leader until 2013, who we contacted back in 1995. And he went to Hessdalen in 1997. I saw the phenomena for the first time himself. And from 2000, he brought his scientists up there with instruments and have had these EMBLA fieldworks. Mainly in electromagnetic measurements, pictures and video. We have had cooperation with students from Bologna have been in Hessdalen, and students from our college has been to their institute in Italy. You can see there a big Northern Cross antenna equipment where they look for signals from the space. And now, from February 2013, Jado Munari is the new leader of this institute. Yeah, here's a picture from their institute. They have done some measurement. They put up some radio equipment in the blue box, and to the left you see some recordings from the screen of the computer. This antenna is computer to a computer which write what kind of signals it is on different frequencies. And what is a little bit strange is it seems to be some kind of Doppler signal, because some signals start on one frequency and increase in frequency. And so this is a little bit strange. University of Würzburg, they have camera equipment. Normally they bring cameras out on satellites, special cameras which they make to analyze the Earth, different frequencies, different wavelengths of the Earth, so they can map all kind of things on the Earth. That's their speciality, to make cameras. And they have also made some which are now up in the blue box, looking for the phenomena. Yeah, we have also, I mentioned GEPAN, which is maybe some of you have heard about in Spain, in France. I mean, sorry, in France. And we have also in cooperation with CNRS and Aristotle University in Greek. And they have been they are geophysicists and been in Hessdalen walking, measuring electricity and magnetic activity in the ground. And this is where they have been walking and done some measurement. And they have found that there is some period or some places with very high conductivity in the ground, which are much higher than what's normal. So this is a drawing from taken from their measurements. The blue up there indicate very good conductivity in the ground, like an electrical wire was in the ground. And also some magnetical tops too, very much higher magnetical activity. If this has anything to do with the phenomena, we don't know. But the reason why we have chosen to let the geophysicists investigate part of the valley is that why Hessdalen? Why this valley? Is there something in the ground which could tell that? And they have mapped big part of the ground in the Hessdalen Valley and found what they call interesting thing. And this is the map also with the red circle, which indicates very high conductivity, like a ring around Hessdalen. The report, or the full report of their findings, was presented this summer, and you can find a link to it on papers in old Hessdalen website. Well, some other happenings, fog, more of the flashes when it's fog outside, and also magnetic activity too. Battery empty, as I mentioned, powerless, conductivity in electrical cables changes. Well, that's just a speculation, of course. We don't know that. But when you lose power in electrical cables, there's something which take away the power, the electrical current. So one possibility, a speculation of course, could it be that the conductivity in electrical cables changes? We have electromagnetic measurement, high electrical pulses, which has also been measured from the ground. Waving feeling, strong ULF or infrasound. Yes, the automatic in new cars can be disturbed. That has happened to my new car. When I come to only in Hessdalen, something strange can happen to the electronics in the cars. Project Hessdalen Part 3 started 2021. We have a new owner of the blue box now. Well, I was retired, and the blue box was built from, well, I and my student have built it, but the owner, it was equipment from the Østfold University College. So in that sense, it was they who owned it. The problem was when I should retire, and they wouldn't want to have that blue box. So they decided, or we decided, to give it away to a company we call Visit Hessdalen. So they are as the new owner of the blue box. Very good, but they take the electricity, internet, and expenses around there. Very good. A new team was established, in a technical team or different software teams, and also other teams are now working. New manager, Fred Palsen, took over in last year. New technical director from Blue Box, Magnus Holm. And in 2023, 14th of June, then Project Hessdalen changed from being a project in Østfold University College to become a non-profit organization. So I'm a chairman of the board, but Fred Palsen is the leader of Project Hessdalen. So a new box, a new blue box, and new website are being developed. And the old website is alive on oldhessdalen.org. And Project Hessdalen is also on Discord. And I hope that some of you or maybe all of you can support us by becoming a member. And we have a membership, and only about $5 a month. So you can go into hessdalen.org. You find very easily how you can support, and then you become a member of Project Hessdalen. And I think most of you can manage $5 a month that engage. And of course, you have some benefits from being a member, of course. And we are very, we need the money for running the equipment and building up a new station, a new equipment. We have live stream cameras now, which are new, or set in operation not so long ago. We have a new alarm system on their way. And so the equipment who have been there, we haven't had any much equipment too much money. So from 1998, much of the equipment is very old, but now we are in the process of building a new thing. How fast this process is going, depending on how much members we get. Well, some more data, a few times, can see some kind of interaction, can be seen on radar even when it cannot be seen by our eyes. And among magnetic storms or pulsation or high humidity, the possibility to see the Hessdalen phenomena increases. Electromagnetic signals have been detected on different bands. It can show up from nowhere and just disappear. Can be high energy light, UV lights, many different shapes and speeds. It can be different solution to the different types of phenomena, the 4 different types, which seems to be quite different in how they look and behave. So it's very difficult to think of that all these different be one type. But why does all this happen in Hessdalen? Well, what next? New and better instruments in the blue box, as I mentioned. And you can follow us on this website, hessdalen.org, or Discord, hessdalen.org, and also the old stuff, the old reports and so on, can be found on oldhessdalen.org, and all the reports and so on from people is there still. So there you can follow us. Well, I think this Embla was taken by the Italian, but where they show, I can show you some of it, but you can see the whole of it lies on well, it doesn't come. Okay. Well, I see the time is running also. So if you search for Embla 2001 on the net, and you also put the word Hessdalen in the search field, then you will find the film. So now I can say thank you for your attention. Then I finish. So I'm ready for questions.
Yeah, we're going to start here real quick.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Erling. Thank you for being here. Would ultraviolet light have been what killed the bacteria in the snow?
Yes, very likely. So that in combination with what we measured on the analyzing of the optical spectrum. So of course, the ultraviolet could have killed the bacteria. Absolutely.
Okay, anyone else?
Thank you, Professor. Kind of along the lines of the question that was just asked, have you found any, when you were doing your workshop, to the current time, have you been doing any biological studies, phenology studies? Are plants affected, your vegetation, soil, the soil itself, that sort of thing? Thank you.
Very little. We have not done any good, precise analyzing of the stuff you are saying now. So we have done some few that, but it's we have some from the science camp. The children did some measurement and so on, but not. The only thing we have done in the ground very precisely is the geophysicists we have had up there. So very little of the stuff you're mentioning.
Go ahead. Thank you. Go ahead.
That particular valley, does it experience a lot of meteorite showers?
Yes, there is meteorite, but I don't think there is any unusual amount of meteorite in the valley. It's quite normal, I will say.
Any
No,
craters?
no.
And how about the students? They become part of the phenomena, the 1,000 students that attended the science camps.
Yeah.
Did they, after having the experience or observations, did they change biologically, let's say, or mentally, or what happened to them? Did their writing change, for example, their handwriting or anything?
We have not done analyzing of the people other than what we hear they're talking about to friends and for instance, and that's quite obviously when they see the phenomena themselves, it's of course there is no doubt anymore that this exists, and they are very exciting. So they should believe that they have influenced them in becoming more interested in the science part, which we of course hope that they did. But we haven't done any measurements, so we have any numbers of these, and we haven't done any analyzing of the people itself. No, we haven't.
Were there any observers that were never affected, never saw any of the items and experiences the others did?
Yes. Of the students, not all of them have seen it, of course. That we don't know why, but it's an interesting topic because of other happenings where we have had several people out looking for the light. And not all of them see it. And also among the population or people who are up there, it seems that some people see it more often than other people. You have also people up there who have never seen it, and some see it very often. So could it be some kind of change of the personality, or there must be some kind of change, I would guess, due to that fact. And it could be interesting to do some analyzing of that, of course. It can be a simple solution that some people are more observant, or you can they notice more easily thing around them than other people, and some people are more sensitive generally, and I got the feeling that people are more sensitive, are more aware of things what's happening around them, and if that's the case, it's more bigger chance that they see something as well. But we have not done any scientific research on finding this. So what I'm saying now is what my impression.
And of the 1,000 students, when you chose the students to attend, you couldn't have everybody that wanted to go. So did those 1,000 students share something in common? I'll exaggerate, like all blue eyes.
No, those students were classes from the school. So the whole class was chosen to take part. And we normally choose those who had a teacher which was willing to following them, of course, because you have a teacher sleeping together with the students up in the Norwegian mountain in tent. Not everyone do that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
what were the altitudes of the mountains?
Up to 10,000 meter, up to 10,000. The highest mountain is 1,000 meter, between 800 and 1,000.
Thank you.
Anybody else got any questions here? Okay, one more quick one.
How different is this phenomenon from the earthquake lights or where there's tectonic activity?
Yeah, good question. Well, this phenomena, these lights, though, have different names like earthquake lights, etc. The activity of earth activity of is very little. There's no earthquake up there, not at all. So it's the part of Norway with which least earthquake in Norway. So when other districts have more earthquake, if it had anything to do with earthquake, you should expect that the other districts would have had it. And we had also this seismograph on the first year due to the fact that someone claimed that there was some movement in the earth crust which made these lights. But we didn't measure any movement in local movement in the earth crust when we had the field work and I had this seismograph up running. So it doesn't seem to be any connection with earthquake lights. No.
Okay, we got just one more here, then we'll hand it off to Fargo.
Okay, I was wondering, you showed a chart from the blue box that showed that Doppler shifted radio signal. What frequency range was that signal in, and what was the repetition rate from the Doppler shifts as they repeated themselves?
I don't have the answer on the last one, but let me see if I find. I think it was written if in the. Let me see if I have it here. Yes, it was about 1,200 hertz. No, central 3,800 hertz.
Okay.
So it was low frequency. It was very low frequency, and we couldn't see any repetition of this. So we got just lucky to see this on the screen, and we took a screenshot of the screen when it happened. Let me see if I can find it again. So you can, let me see here. But the report is on the net. So if you search on Doppler Hessdalen, so will the report show up? Search on the net, you can get the details. But on the picture I showed you, which I tried to show you once more, it was, I think, looking at the screen now, I think it was around 3 kilohertz, around that area. But the speed, they've calculated the speed too with this Doppler, and this is extremely high. I think they indicated an acceleration of several thousand kilometers a second. But that is just from my memory from the report. So I propose that you go to the report to find exact numbers.
All right, thank you. I get some questions myself, but I'm going to turn it over to Fargo. Anna, it's all you.
All right, we'll take a few questions here in Fargo, and then we'll go to those people online. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat or just raise your hand on the Zoom option. So we have one question. I can repeat it. So the question is, has any scandium deposits been found in that region? And I actually have a question that is related to that as well. I'm wondering what the effects of the scandium and the large quartz deposits are on the phenomenon.
First, there has not been found any scandium, but in Hessdalen, but we have not been digging for it either. So there has not been, the only thing they have analyzed is a mining system, and then they're looking for some minerals which the mining companies are interested in. I'm not heard of any mining companies who is interested in scandium and have searched for that. So in that sense, we don't know if there is any scandium in the ground in Hessdalen. And what scandium is, what was your question, last question? Scandium, what is used to, or?
No, I was just wondering, having been to the valley and seen, just seen the visible large deposits of quartz, I'm wondering what impact you think the minerals in the valley or the mountains around the valley have on the phenomenon.
Well, it's nearly, it's quite easily to think it must have some influence. And that's also one of the reasons why we engage the geophysicists to measure magnetical and electrical properties of the valley, which they said was quite interesting. So that's one point we have. We know also that based from mining activity from the old days, there was more copper in the mountain in the east, copper mines. In the western part of the valley is more. It wasn't copper, it was iron and such kind of minerals. There are also in the middle you have sulfur mine, which has a lot of sulfur in it. So there are different minerals. Then there is also some other minerals. I don't remember exactly the name of them now, but anyway, iron and copper and sulfur is the one which are from old days, though. So that there is different minerals in the different parts of the valley, as is the base of one theory. Maybe someone has heard that there is a natural battery in the valley, but because of the elements, the copper and iron and so on, different elements, and then you get the voltage behind. But for me, this theory that the light is due to natural battery is I don't buy that so easy, because the voltage you need to make such a light is much higher than what the elements could give you. So I don't think that. Yeah.
I have another quick question, and then I'll take other questions here. You mentioned the feeling of the ground moving or a wave phenomenon with some of these sightings.
Yeah.
Are there any specific types of sightings that are associated with that feeling?
No. When they had that feeling, they didn't see anything. They was just out observing. But at the time when they got this feeling, waving feeling, there was they didn't observe anything. So this was coming from probably from the ground, I guess, or from other sources. We have know that what could influence your inner ear, so you got that feeling, is infrasound or very high, very low electromagnetic radiation. I think infrasound is very interesting. Yeah. We don't know what it was, if it was infrasound or electromagnetic radiation, because we hadn't any instruments in operation which could measure any of those at the time when it happened. And it also happened mainly when we had the first field work, and at that time there was a huge amount of observations compare what it is now. So when this waving movement was coming, there was also a lot of general in that area, in that period, a lot of observation. So in that sense, it's easy to connect those influence to the phenomena. We have also had description which could indicate infrasound, that people have explained that the house was vibrating in a way, like from an earthquake, but there was no earthquake detected in Norway at that time. So it wasn't an earthquake. But I've thought of maybe it was infrasound who could made that. Who knows?
Interesting. Did we have another question here? So the question is really, she's aware that you've done measurements and different things, and she's wondering if there was any effect from the radiation that the area ended up getting after Chernobyl. Did I get that right? Okay.
Can you say it once more?
So the question is whether or not there was any increase or decrease or change in the sightings after Norway experienced some of the radiation from the Chernobyl accident.
No, I don't think so. We haven't analyzed that. We know that the observation sightings was very high from December 1981, and it started to decrease a little bit in 1983, and 1984 winter it was quite high still, but late 1984 it has gone very down. So we know the time for the activity of observation but we haven't compared that time with this Chernobyl accident. So no.
Okay, and then, so you mentioned that there seems to be some kind of correlation with the aurora. And I'm wondering if you've noticed any correlation with just solar cycles and increased CMEs and all of that, whether or not an aurora is present.
I don't know if I understand, but solar cycles, you mentioned that. Yeah, yes, there was a high activity of solar cycles when we had the first flag. But the solar cycles normally goes in repeat each other in 11 years between each.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was on top in 1981 or 82 or something when we had the first one. But we had no high activity after 11 more years when the also was a solar activity. We didn't have that. So it doesn't seem to be any correlation with solar activity.
Interesting. I think we're good on questions. Any more questions here in Fargo? Are there questions online? I don't see any hands up online. If you would like to ask a question, feel free to put it in the chat or raise your hand online in the Zoom. So I'll bring it back to Jer. Looks like you have some questions there.
Yep, we do. Here you go.
The individuals that bought your blue box, was it a particular country or a corporation or individuals you were familiar with or those that might want to eliminate the research? Thanks.
If someone want to eliminate the research,
Yes.
yes, yes, always such people around. But we don't listen to them.
No.
If I understood you correctly.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Awesome. I got a question for you. You had a slide in there that said that this phenomenon will happen during times of high humidity. What's the correlation between the high humidity and the phenomenon?
We have not measured this exactly.
Okay.
We have no numbers on that.
Do you have any speculation at all?
Yeah, we have noticed it when the flashes, when there are high humidity and even fog, it's possible to see the flashes.
So maybe it's just more possible to see it.
So it's only you can say in a way speculation because we don't have any number, but we have an impression though that this is the case. I could say it like that, impression,
yeah.
But it doesn't prove.
Yep, no, that makes perfect sense. Then I have one other question. You had a slide up there that talked about how many times the phenomenon had been caught each year, and it was, it depended upon how often the box was being operated. But yep. Did you correlate any, like during when the box is operating, it'll catch it every hour, every day, every once a week or once a month or something like that? Is there any correlation there? Yeah, or pattern?
Not a correlation, but this it seems to happen whenever. We cannot correlate it to anything. And also, I must say that these numbers is only what I call interesting pictures, which cannot be explained at once. For instance, the alarm system we had was very simple in the way that it mapped only changes in the light. So, for instance, every plane coming is a false alarms, of course, and also some cars. So there's a huge amount of false alarms every night, which we go through. Normally, we can rule out most of it, but now and then there is something interesting. It's possible to see everyone can have access to all alarms whenever. Now on old Hessdalen.org, where the alarms from the old system was coming, there is the old system was shut down. The alarm system was shut down late August this year. But all the alarms is there from March this year until though it was shut down late in August. So you can actually look at all the false alarms as well, if you like, many, and you can see what we have picked up as interesting pictures, which can be found on the website oldhessdalen.org on pictures and the year though. Pictures 2024, for instance, the last year, etc. So there you can go on 2024, you can go down, go in and look at the pictures, which are the interesting pictures, and you can compare those with all the false alarms, if you like.
Awesome.
We don't have any correlation with that.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
We
No.
have a
Go ahead.
question in the chat. And the question is, are you working with any groups in the US who are developing automated UAP observation stations?
I know of. I'm not doing. Not working with. That's strong. We discuss and cooperate and talk with each other. Yes, but I haven't contributed to their research in that way. But we talk. Yeah. But I could mention that if someone, I mentioned those new groups of teams of people who we have now, we always need, if you have someone is interested in be part of that team, we would be glad. We need people from software, we have people from hardware, we need people. So if anyone here is interested, you can go into Discord. It's maybe the best place to go, discord.hessdalen.org, and become a member there. It's free, of course, just register. And if you send an email or connect or talk to Fred Paulsen or administrator and tell about your interest and what you could think you would be able to contribute on, he would be glad. Fred Paulsen is the new leader of Project Hessdalen, and he is taking care of all these teams and groups working together.
Well, Erling, thank you so much. I don't know that we have any more questions, and I bet you are probably ready to go to sleep. We really appreciate you talking with us today. Excellent presentation. I've got a whole bunch of questions, and hopefully someday I can meet you in person and ask those questions. But yes, thank you very much, and we really appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Caramel apple. Well, at least it's not ranch. Oh, that's not too bad. And you're still here again. Meeting's over. You can go home. Feel free. Don't have to hang out here. Linda, this is an absolutely fascinating read.